Hi everyone, and thank you for joining us on our Friday TNT last day of the week, and thank you to all those people that have subscribed to the channel. Now yesterday we were in the middle of a siege and we could only report that 3 people had been shot at the time, but the siege hadn't been completed. Sadly now we've heard that the gunman was shot dead by police after executing an accuser witness in a court case. Let's go on with this story from The Nation. A gunman who killed 3 people execution style ahead of his pending court case was shot dead by police after a 15-hour standoff in Petchaburi province. The 19-year-old launched the attack at around about 1:30 on Wednesday. That's about 170 kilometres southwest of Bangkok. And police say the gunman fired multiple bullets in the area, killing 3 people, including a motorcycle delivery driver, injuring 4 more before taking shelter in a house. Police then surrounded the house on Wednesday evening. About 40 children were evacuated from a nearby daycare centre as police converged on the scene. And the suspect's mother was brought to the site, using a loudspeaker, pleaded with her son to surrender, but the man refused to lay down his weapon. And at around about 4 a.m, this would be on Thursday morning, police commandos stormed the house where the gunman was still firing his gun. The 15-hour standoff ended soon after, when he was shot and killed by commandos on the 2nd floor of the house. And officials say they found the shooter's weapon, a Glock 19 handgun, registered in his name near his body. He was a former national park official and facing a court appearance on a charge of coercion and physical assault. His victims were the plaintiff in the case and his witness, both 21 years old. The 3rd victim was a 27-year-old motorcycle delivery driver. And The Nation Thailand goes on to report that he shot 3 other people. Now, reporting from Thai PBS World Now, and their report saying that a Petchaburi siege had to end to avoid more people being killed or injured. Police had to use force to end the recent armed standoff at a housing estate in Petchaburi province because more people could have been killed or injured if the situation had been allowed to continue, according to a police spokesperson. And he said that the gunman appeared to know combat techniques used in a siege situation when he was surrounded by the police. He disclosed the gunman fired 6 shots at one police officer, but the bullets hit the bulletproof shield, without which the officer might have been seriously injured or killed. He also said that the 3 innocent people who had died in front of the gunman's house, 2 college students and a delivery rider, were shot more than 30 times. And the spokesperson maintained that police had tried their best to persuade the gunman to surrender, but later responded by shooting at them. 2 sieges in 2 weeks, and by all accounts the police appear to have acquitted themselves quite well and showing a lot of restraint and patience. And of course in both cases we'll hear more about the outcomes of those particular sieges. To our next story today, and we go to the Bangkok Post. Ex-embassy staffer jailed over spy cams. An indecency conviction follows discovery of cameras in women's washroom in the Australian Embassy in Bangkok. A former IT manager at the Australian Embassy in Bangkok was sentenced yesterday to 2 years in jail for installing spy cameras in women's bathrooms at the mission. And the cameras were discovered after a memory card was found on a washroom floor back in 2021, according to Australia's ABC. And AFP reports that the court found him guilty of 2 counts and sentenced him to 2 years on each, but with his confessions the penalty was reduced by half, which usually happens in the Thai court system. The man was sacked and arrested in January 2022 when the embassy filed a formal complaint. 60 women had submitted statements to the police during the investigation, according to the ABC. Now, thank you to 5-Star Marine, and they provide premium private charter tours out to the islands around Phuket. There's a link in the description, and as I've said, either next week or sometime soon, I'll be heading out onto Phang Nga Bay and taking you with me as we go and visit some of the islands, some of the very nice resorts as well. That's all coming up in the next few weeks. Link in the description. So over the past few weeks, there's been plenty of horrible stories about immigration officers behaving badly, and extortion, kidnapping, corruption, the whole thing. So good to report at least one good thing about immigration. This from ASEANnow.com. Better news for immigration. They help a man who had a seizure at a border crossing. He's safe and sound. And Siam Rat reporting that the head of the Ubon Ratchathani Immigration and his staff assisted a man who had a seizure. It happened at the Chongmek border crossing in the northeast. And the immigration staff and medics gave the man assistance, and the man is now out of danger. So well done to the immigration staff there, obviously operating a bit outside their usual operations, but doing the right thing, and let's hope that man recovers quickly. Now to another story, this one covered in Mental Floss, and it's reporting that the countries with the most and the least paid vacation time, and we've got a map to go to. So which countries get the most paid leave and which countries get the least? You might be surprised. Let's go to the story. And the resume consulting site, resume.io, recently examined what kind of mandatory paid time off is common across the world, and the results may surprise you. So let's start with the United States, and people there, they get 10 days of paid leave each year, and up in Canada, it's 19. Here is both the UK, and the UK, they get 28 days paid leave. We'll go to Europe a bit later. A lot of the northern African countries get up to 40 days of paid leave. And we can see in Europe, they get roughly between about 29 days. Moldova, they get 39 days of paid annual leave. We go to my home country, and 27 days of paid leave in Australia, across to the land of the long white cloud, and they get 4 more days at 31. Let's check Southeast Asia, and 19 days in Thailand, not quite as good in the Philippines, but a lot better in Vietnam. We go to Northern Asia. South Koreans, they get 30 days of paid leave. China, 16. Bhutan, they get 44 days of paid leave. And Russia, 42. Well, that must be getting pretty close to the maximum number of paid days leave each year. But no, it's Iran, 53 days every year of paid leave. And they are the #1 country. And this map was published by resume.io. I'll put a link in the description if you want to have a closer look at that. Quite a lot of detail in that, but it's the most paid vacation days around the world. So quite surprising that a country like Iran has 53 days of paid leave, and the good old US of A, only 10 days of paid leave every year. You're watching the Friday TNT, last day of the week, and tomorrow we've got our live program. I think Nick's turning up, so it'll be myself and Nick and you can ask questions, you can make comments, you can berate me, you can talk about anything that's happened during the week. Anybody can join in, and so it's a good hour-long chat, and it starts at 9 a.m. Thai time, so grab one of these, and we look forward to seeing you then. And on Sunday, it's our Grumpy Old Men program. But we go to nationthailand.com now, and they're reporting Chinese nationals bought nearly half of the condo units sold to foreigners in 2022. Chinese citizens bought the most number of condominiums in Thailand among foreigners in 2022. This according to the Government Housing Bank's Real Estate Information Centre, and a total ownership of 11,561 condos valued at nearly 60 billion baht were transferred to foreigners. This is the numbers, and Chinese, a massive 5,707 of those units. And rather surprisingly down there, I noticed Myanmar. So people out of Myanmar with the means to do so, buying up units in Thailand. In fact, 349 of them. So I found that quite interesting there in the top 10 of the foreign buyers. And Chinese citizens bought nearly 50% of the condo units sold to foreigners last year, but that number's down from 55% the year before, attributed to China's zero COVID policy. So interesting, those statistics there for condo sales in 2022 in Thailand. Now, from time to time, you see these roadside marquees erected, often for things like a funeral or a wedding party. And of course, they need to be moved. So you could dismantle them, put them in a truck and take them to the next location, or you could do this. So this is one way to do it, and we've got 4 salangs here, a pole each. Hopefully there's not going to be too much wind, and they're basically moving the Marquee along the road. Heaven forbid if any traffic came the other way. I suppose a car could go down the middle, but a truck, don't think it's going to fit under there, and let's hope that there's not too much wind. So probably not going to recommend that as a way to move a Marquee, but from time to time the Thais can be very enterprising with the resources that they have. Now, just a few comments from you over the past 24 hours. And yesterday there was a comment from a person who described themselves or called themselves, I think on ASEANnow.com, they called themselves Freddie Mercury and had a picture there of Freddie Mercury. And I said, I don't think that's the real Freddie Mercury. Well, thank heavens, this person has said, no, Freddie Mercury died of AIDS in 1991, so I also doubt that the post was by him. Thank you very much for your assurance there. And this one from Feroz, and this is in regard to the 45-day visa waiver, which will probably come to an end on March the 31st, unless we hear something otherwise between now and then. He says, or she says, the Thai government already have made it clear 31st of March 2023, 45-day visa waiver will return to 30 days. Why would they have to repeat what is already written in black and white? Well, fair enough comment, and of course the Thai government said back in October that they were going to run the 45-day visa waiver only until the 31st of March, but it has been very popular and it sort of kick-started tourism from a lot of countries that could take advantage of the visa waiver. I think, though, one of the interesting dynamics is that people from Russia could also take advantage of the 45-day visa waiver, and I don't think the government expected the huge surge of people coming in from one particular country. So at the moment, as far as we know, it is going to finish on the 31st of March. And this comment from Spadger469 says, I don't understand the constant bleating about no update to the 45-day visa exemption. If the government had previously stated that the program would end on a certain date and no further information had been forthcoming, then that's all that's required. Why is it incumbent on the government to confirm that nothing has changed? The program will end at the end of this month. That's not confusing at all. Well, that's all very well. That's what the government said back in October. But of course, during the 6 months, both the tourism minister and the governor of the TAT have both said that they would like to extend the visa waiver until at least the end of this year, from 30 to 45 days. So a lot of people trying to make their plans, and because the government have extended a lot of these things in the past, there is, I think, a reasonable speculation that they might have done the same on this one. But at this stage, we've heard nothing confirmed, and as far as your travel plans are concerned, you should be planning that the exemption will return to 30 days on the 31st of March. And to this news from the Bangkok Post, U-Tapao expansion likely to be delayed. The U-Tapao Airport expects a delay to the first phase of its expansion plans as some conditions have not been approved by authorities. U-Tapao, which is about a 40-minute drive from Pattaya city, and the criteria comprise the auction for a second runway, the environmental health impact assessment, which must be approved by the EEC, and the operational schedule for the high-speed railway. So 3 outstanding matters, not the least the connection of the high-speed railway, which is a long way from commencing. And the project is a venture between BBS Consortium, which includes Bangkok Airways and the EEC. Now, Bangkok Airways, who have a monopoly, they're the owners of the Koh Samui Airport, and people in Koh Samui would say it's both a blessing and probably the worst thing that happened when Bangkok Airways got the monopoly, because flights to Samui from Bangkok by Bangkok Airways are very, very expensive, and I'm sure the people in Pattaya don't want the same sort of monopoly over the U-Tapao Airport. that story in the Bangkok Post, but it looks like it's going to be a bit of time until they start doing the development of that airport beyond what it already is. And with that, I thank you for watching today. Hopefully you're a bit more up to date with things happening around Thailand. We hope you have a fantastic weekend, and we look forward to seeing some of you tomorrow morning, 9 a.m. Thai time, with Nick and me with our TNT Live.